Welcome to some space in Johannesburg, South Africa. We're currently in a living room trying to teach Sam about menstrual disorders. Are you ready?
I'm ready because I know everything about them and I'm pretty clued up with the menstrual. So yeah.
Then a word to Sam. Sam is going to try and pronounce it, and he's also going to try and describe what the disorder / condition is.
Premenstrual syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Premenstrual syndrome. Menstrual syndrome. It means.
What is it?
It means. Okay, so premenstrual means that you have problems before your menstrual cycle.
Yes.
That's the thing. So the syndrome, I don't know exactly, but you just have issues before your cycle starts.
Yes. So the symptoms you are experiencing before your period is also known as PMS. So usually when your gents go, she's on her PMS.
Is that what it is?
That's what it is.
Oh,
So
I thought PMS was like when she's going through her
premenstrual syndrome.
But I thought it was.
So it's an actual medical condition that a lot of menstruators go through. We experience nausea, fatigue, bloating, our breasts get very sore, we have wild cravings. It's intense.
And this happens before the period
Yes.
cycle. And then during the period cycle it's also another issue.
Yes. Alleviate the syndrome by like drinking tea, taking medication, fulfilling the cravings if you want to, but it's something that you can't necessarily get rid of.
So I'm saying like you kind of like out of action for like 2 weeks every month. That's crazy.
You can still have sex on your period.
No, not action.
You
I'm
can
just
still have sex.
I'm just saying you're
during
tripping.
PMS.
Like you just going through the most.
Yeah.
For 2 weeks every month.
It's a cycle. So remember, it's a cycle like a circle. So after your period, you start the process of your eggs getting ready, and then that's ovulation. Then your eggs release an egg to think is there a sperm or no sperm. Then the shedding of the uterine lining is your period because the egg wasn't fertilized. So it's a cycle we go through. So in the process, 10 days after our period or 14 days after our period, we usually experience PMS because we're getting ready for the fact that our egg was not fertilized. It's a cycle.
Y'all go through the most.
We do.
I am so sorry.
And we still deal with the men on top of it. Yo.
All the honeys that have done dirty during their PMS cycles and Woo! Amenorrhea. Amenorrhea. Kind of like diarrhea, but amenorrhea. Kind of like just bleeding a lot, probably. You know what I mean? You're just doing way too much. Just
it's when you're not doing. It's not when you're doing anything at all. Amenorrhea is the absence of period, so you don't have. Yeah, you don't have your period essentially.
But I was close though, cause it's kind of like polar opposites, which is kind of like the same. Like think about it. I could have been like far, but I was like too much, not at all. It's pretty much the same. It's the same playing field.
So you get two types. You get primary and secondary, right? So with primary, what happens is if you've reached puberty and you don't have periods, then you have no periods. That's primary amenorrhea. Secondary is when you've had periods and then after 3 menstrual cycles you don't have any period show. Then that's when you need to, call the doctor, cut the cameras, and make sure
Dr.
everything's
Phil.
fine. Not Dr. Phil, but your trusted medical advisor who is not Samplayze. Okay.
Dr. Oz.
And
Dysmenorrhea. This means wrong. Yeah? Like something's wrong.
okay.
So it's still the thing of the cycle. Somewhere along those lines. Rhea. So we've had dysmenorrhea. I think that's when you're doing it too much now, for real this time. No, we had the amenorrhea. That was not at all. Now I think it's like too much now. Think about it.
Okay, let me listen to this argument.
No, we just had amenorrhea. Menstruation, menopause, menorrhea. You get it? Yeah. You get what I mean? Surely.
Dysmenorrhea is when your uterus is peaking way too much, right?
That's actually what I just said.
No! With severe and intense menstrual cramps. It is the medical condition for menstrual cramps. And the reason why men are in the word, do you see the association? Men cause you pain, dysmenorrhea, pain, cramps, menstrual cramps, men too much, get it? Yeah, so.
What is too much, like, in terms of
when, okay, feeling in pelvic pain and you genuinely cannot get up and move.
But I thought that's just kind of like...
No.
That's what you just get on a regular.
No, with period, no.
When someone says like, I'm having my period cramps, I assume they're going through the most already.
It's like a variation, it's a scale. So for some, you can feel just like a slight twinge in your stomach area or in your pelvic area. For some, it's a thing of like, you genuinely cannot get up. You're just like in what is that position where you're like fetal position the entire time.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
R.I.P. everybody out there. You know,
dysmenorrhea. Just remember, it's men.
You learned something today. Amenorrhea. Amenorrhea? Amenorrhea. Am I saying it wrong? Amenorrhea. Amenorrhea. There's two others. Amenorrhea. Amenorrhea. You said it's silent. Now I'm saying Gia means you are I kind of want to say the thing too much again because it's just like, you know, Gia. Anything with Ia, like WrestleMania.
Oh my gosh!
Do you know what I mean? It's just this is the ultimate event. Like, we're going into that.
What were English classes for you? Like Gia, Latin, I'm still make my own.
Just think about it though. WrestleMania is like when everything comes together. You know what I mean? So now you've got Amenorrhea and like all the period stuff comes through. Like, now we're bleeding today, it's cramps today. It's the hormonal fluctuation. Everything is just pow one day. It's just like all the Undertaker's there, John Cena's there, everybody's there, just like ding ding ding. And you know, you just get through the adverts. I swear, I know this for a fact. I know this for a fact. Like, that's what's going down there.
I've never laughed like this in my life. For periods.
There's announcers, there's grand entrances. And that's when you're just down and out. I know for a fact you're just out. You're just in your room, you're just... That's it.
It's excessive bleeding.
Oh, what did I say?
No, wait.
Yo, I said
it's
that.
Heavy bleeding, excessive bleeding. Oh my.
I've been saying that for the last 2 words now. Oh. And I knew when I said, this is just a setup.
Guys, you know what, this one I'm leaving to you. Just Google the word and see if WrestleMania comes up in the definition, because
all the gents will know that I'm right. But what I'm saying, excessive bleeding, there's a lot of blood that happens by WrestleMania.
Yeah. When it's too much. Like John Cena's jumping off 3 tables. But it's excessive bleeding. So what happens is, you know, like with a sanitary pad or a tampon, you can say it takes 3 to 6 hours to use it. If you soak through the product for like within an hour or 2 hours and it's completely soaked through, cut the cameras. Heavy bleeding.
Okay, so define heavy bleeding now, like in terms of like amount. Are we looking at like just tap water? Just
wow.
Is it just?
I mean, there's so many different variants in terms of milliliters, but just what you need to look out for in terms of excessive heavy bleeding is large clots. So if you pass a clot that is larger than a 5 rand coin, and then if you soak through a sanitary pad or tampon within an hour or 2 hours, that is considered heavy bleeding. On top of that, if you're also experiencing very intense and severe pain...
Cut the cameras.
Thank you, Sam.
Got you.
Thank you, Sam.
Good analogy though. Like, let's not lie though. Because I feel like when a girl says she's going through period pains, I just see a wrestling match. Like Jeff Hardy versus, Randy Orton.
I don't know why my uterus is being compared to men fighting each other. But I mean, it's accurate. It's doing the most. Because men just have no boundaries, and so that's facts.
That's Endometriosis, metriosis, osmosis, meiosis.
Oh my God. Okay, you're about to drop a rap.
Yeah. Psychosis.
Oh.
You understand? Okay.
In D, like Sister Bettini, in the meantime, endometriosis.
Endometriosis. Endometriosis is when the period,
There's no answers yet, just the words. I don't know why you're looking at me.
It's gonna click. Endometriosis. It's when the period comes to an end. Listen, it's when the credits come at the end, everybody just looks at all the names, all the fighters, all the pains, all the fluctuations just come rolling in the credits, and this is now the end, and we say goodbye to all the period pain that we've experienced, and we welcome a new day. Listen, you're not letting me speak.
I can't let you finish.
I think endometriosis is probably a scenario where something gets interrupted in the cycle, maybe. Like, it was supposed to happen, it gets interrupted. Maybe you're not experiencing certain procedures that are supposed to take place. Something along those lines. Maybe like a 5-minute break, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything is like, hold up, 5 minutes. And then you're just like, oh, what's going on? You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden it's just jumpstart the next day, and then you're just like, you know what I mean? So the way I see it, that was a pretty good process of elimination, though.
Did you take biology in high school?
I did osmosis. I know what osmosis is. Photosynthesis.
So clearly, when they went through the female reproductive section, you were just not listening.
Yeah. So when the credits roll. You know what I mean? And you just have to read all the fighters and the story goes.
Okay. Reproductive system. Right?
Oh, y'all be reproducing.
Endometrium lining. Right?
I knew that.
No, you didn't. Mm-hmm. Right? Essentially, what endometriosis is when that lining grows outside of the uterus. So it's like if your part of your nose is growing in your lung or your kidney, it's not growing where it's meant to, and you experience the pain. So the lining that is essentially meant to shed during your period is now growing outside of different parts of your body, not in your...
How are you supposed to know about this?
Because you experienced very, very severe pain, irregular bleeding, spotting. Sometimes you can even have severe forms of PMS, so nausea, fatigue. Yeah. So that you genuinely have to call like a doctor.
Sounds like you guys go through a lot.
We do.
The way I see it, being a girl, being a woman.
Mm-hmm. Being a menstruator, who chooses not to identify.
Yeah. Would not recommend, because goddamn.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. I am so sorry.
In his head, that's that you thought we were going through WrestleMania. So you thought no sounds.
It's all the fireworks, all the lights, the music. I get you. Imagine having a WrestleMania in your belly. That's crazy.
Just like John Cena.
You know what I mean? Yo, I learned a few things today. Do I know these words off the top of my head? Nope. Can I refer to these videos on the internet to check up on them again and find out and learn more? Yeah.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Very educating experience. You know what I mean? Gents, I hope you learned something today. Yeah, it's changed my perspective on a lot of things. You know what I mean? Yeah. Blood, you know what I mean? Now I know, when I see WrestleMania, I understand where they got the formula, the blueprint from. You know what I mean? So I've learned a lot, and I must say I appreciate that. And to everybody out there, if you guys want to see more videos like these, just let us know. I enjoyed collabing, doing this thing right here.
It's fun.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do it again?
Yes, definitely. I love to see stuff. Bye.
Okay. You're not a high fiver. I'm just gonna... Nah. You just high five in the air, dog.